Hi, folks. This is my man coming to you from parts unknown. I hope everyone's doing well, and I hope you all enjoyed the two. What was it? 2 hours with Mr. T, or however long was he? Broke the record. I hurried up with my thumbnail, so I should have put that in there too. A record broken, longest address to a joint session of Congress, even topping the windbag Bill Clinton. And when he talks slow, anyway, you know how Bill Clinton used to talk. But anyway, boy, it was something to watch, and a lot of people doing commentary on it. And if I played that and then put comments in, we would be here for 3 hours or more. But I'm sure many of you have watched it at least once, if not more than once, and saw some interesting things Mr. T did with his body language, and also how he called them straight out to their faces for a number of things. Two of the biggest ones we'll talk about: human trafficking. He pointed his finger right at him. And radical left lunatics. He swept his finger right by the side of the chamber where all the demon rats were sitting. So, yeah, it's pretty exciting. Upbeat. And even on CNN's poll and CBS's poll, a huge majority of people thought it was a wonderful address. Enjoyed the address. So, and remember, the best is yet to come. So, golden age. How you doing, Wayne? Nice to see you. Todd, nice to see you. Marie, Robin, Rebecca, Angela, nice to see you. KNS is here. Debbie's here. Television show's here. Yes, we're not going back. He even took their, they pick slogans. They don't have an original bone in their body. Their memes are cornball and convoluted, and rely on some kind of narrative that isn't even true. So they'll steal something they feel is going to be used against them. We're not going back. And Trump just plucked it right from them. We're not going back to the 75 years of liberalism and the degeneration of our society and this theft of our money. And what a contrast! What a contrast! Even commentators on MSDNC were saying that the left didn't do themselves any favor with their petulant behavior. So, CBS had it at 76%. Did I get that right? It was in the 70s, upper 70s, maybe. At least 74. I believe it was 76. And CBS is traditionally people who have been captured by the fake news, and older people that are in with the old guard talking points. But CNN had it even in the 60s, and CNN, I mean, who the hell watches that anymore? Just like Trump said, you better worry about your survival, is what he told what's her face from CNN, the one who keeps asking about eggs. Trump could be sitting there saying, we're looking at nuclear war. We're looking at the utter destruction of humanity's civilization. Okay, I'll take a question. What about eggs? So anyway, he told him, worry about your survival, CNN. Let me see. Who all's here? Yeah, I want to thank you, Wayne, for going by me a coffee. I appreciate that help and support the channel. My last broadcast, and Mike and Bev, I appreciate it so much. Let's see. Who all's in here? Oh, now I don't want to come out hilarious too. Yeah, I don't want to drop out of my studio. I haven't seen Hilarious Sue in a while, but she contributed. I appreciate it. I have a link in the description. Anybody wants to help? So let's see where I leave off on hellos. Oh, Gary. Ha ha. Yeah. How you doing, Gary? Todd says 76% approval. Right. Yeah. Nice to see you, Gary. And Brush. I just say Brush. I hope that's okay. Brush Nerdler. I got a bicep, a flag, a coffee, and a cat. Now she's going to come around here and want me to let her out. If I have to do that, I have to take a break for a second. Flannel Cheese, how you doing? Usually when I start my broadcast, I go, from parts unknown. She takes off somewhere and figures I got better go down and lay down somewhere. But most of the time she's already outside rooting around. Nice to see you, Flannel Cheese. Television shows, CNN had it 69%. Oh, they destroyed themselves on live TV. It really was. You think of their insolence, and your first reaction is to get bristled. But the more it went on, it started becoming comical. So, hi, Judy. Nice to see you. Jackie. Okeechobee. And Gary's doing great. That's good. Gary's doing great. Sissy's here. Oh, you've been off grid. We wonder where you were. I was hoping you're okay. So, we got to see when Roland gets in here. I want to talk a little bit about Trudeau, because I got to figure out a sound thing so I can play some of like Trudeau saying, Donald, I seldom agree with what was it, the something journal, but I have to do this time because what you did is just stupid about the tariffs. And he's gonna jam us up, and what great friends they are. Canadian people is a separate thing from the Canadian government, and I'm sure many Canadians will agree with that. The American people is a different entity from the government. And Trump is doing his level best to get it back to where it was designed, where the government is the people. But we're in the remnants. We're the remnants of the old guard here in the U.S., cleaning up the us and them, the big club that we ain't in. We're going to kick them out. So anyway, we got to. I was thinking last broadcast I did, we were talking about whiskey. I said to the Canadians, I said, you better get that Kentucky and Tennessee whiskey while you can, because this guy Ford was going to take them all off the shelves. And after I did my live stream, I said, wait a minute, we could do a reverse Al Capone and Jack Kennedy. Okay, Kennedy made his money. I'm talking about the old man, being a rum runner. That was a big talking point back in the day. He was just running liquor, and that's where he got all his money. That's how the Kennedy family became wealthy. And so I say, well, we could do a reverse. We can work. We got Tennessee. I don't know if he'll make it in. Tennessee comes in, and we got Roland. He's in Canada. I could be the middleman. Now, this is just parody, you Tizzle. I'm not really talking about reverse rum running. We can run liquor into Canada, because what they used to do back in the day, Al Capone and his bunch, they would run liquor from Canada into the U.S. We could just flip it. We could flip it. So I don't know if the Canadians will want Kentucky whiskey that bad or Tennessee whiskey that bad or not. We could find out, though. So let's see. Oh, Piggy Losi had a drinking cane. Hi, Debbie. Yeah, well, Al Green had his pimp cane, his fake pimp cane with the gold handle on. Remember when I was going off about that? Hi, Linda Marie, how you doing? Remember when I was going off about that cane, him using it as a prop last week? Man, that really gets on my nerves when somebody does that, trying to make themselves look like some English gentleman or just a lot of Southern politicians used to walk around with a cane draped over their arm, and then he uses it to point and wave at people. I find it highly offensive, even especially if people actually need canes to get around. You see some poser like that, but I saw somebody put in their community page, called it a pimp cane. A pimp cane, and that's good enough for me. He's like I called him Silky the Pimp. What's his name? Al Green. Silky the Pimp. And Mike Johnson said, well, he needs to be censured. And I agree, because you can't have, if it would sit there and be quiet and or not come, and they can take the ramifications, whichever, good or bad, from their constituents, that's fine. But don't disrupt. Don't disrupt. But hey, that's a tactic. That's a tactic. Viktor Orban pointed it out in a speech, because in the Serbian parliament, I think Serbia is where Fico, the guy that got SHOT 5 times, I showed the video when they actually tried to nate him, and he survived. Well, they had a parliament meeting, and they were throwing smoke bombs and raising all kinds of hell. This was a soft version of that. And Orban was pointing out that that's a C.I.A. tactic. I'll read a quote from his message. And he said they're trying to disrupt in the Balkans and in Eastern Europe. They're trying to influence and disrupt elections. Okay? And they're using black budgets in the CIA and also U.S. aid and whatever other money laundering operations they have going on, which we're going to find out more and more about. Like Stacey Abrams, what the hell is she doing $2 billion? Trump called her out. Yeah, he called her out last night by name. Had an account with $100 in it. First deposits, $2 billion. That's not corrupt. You know what Stacey Abrams said? We did a lot of good. We do a lot of good. We help people, poor people, afford their electric bills. A lot of people were able to afford their electric bills because of what we do. $2 billion is a lot of damn electric. Where were you doing that? Georgia? Or just a couple of counties in Georgia? I mean, they don't even know. Are we going to find out? What they do is they give some kind of assistance, pay 20% of somebody's bill if they qualify. I don't know. What happens to the rest of the $2 billion, Stacey? So we're going to find out. We're going to find out that and a great many other things. Hi, Melvita, you Alamo, Georgia. All right. Let's see. Cash studying up high. Oh, he's taking notes. Hi, Pappy Two Bears. Mark, how you doing? Yeah, it was like Dumb and Dumber. Yeah, Jerry, he looked like a werewolf, a greasy werewolf. I put in one of the comments. So some of these leftist channels, they'll put it up like he's a hero. I put in there, take a bath, you pimp, Silky the Pimp. And I said, well, I'm gonna get kicked off if I keep doing that. So yeah, if you're getting 76% on CBS, you're doing good. Oh yeah, I saved a video for my next picture show. Gary said U.S. troops in Mexico. Trump put up. Did you all see the Osprey? The Osprey flying over the border wall, kicking up all that dust. So yeah, he said. That's the other thing he said. Nicaragua is in the same boat, being declared a terrorist organization as ISIS, okay, and Hamas or the Houthis. And he said that's not a good place to be. And hey, he announced where they took out leadership in Syria and Yemen. Do you think they called the president and said, oh, we're going to do an operation? No. So think about that, Miss Scheinbaum Steinbergstein. Stein. Okay. We're not going to call you up for permission. We're just going to take them out. So they've been using bombs inside vehicles. They've been taking pot shots at Border Patrol. Hi, Stanton. How you doing? Jet lag. How you doing? Miss Mendersu. Nice to see you. Let's see. Oh, yeah. Well, they're saying they're going to create their own European Union army. I guess something that's going to operate outside of NATO. That's what they're shooting for. And it's a big good luck with that, right? Good luck with that. They did a poll. How many people said they would fight for their country, would pick up arms and fight for their country? And the average of all these European countries is like 26%, nothing above 30. Till you got up to, I think, Finland or something like that. I think the Dutch would, but the rest of them were like, I don't know, I'm not going to go. They're not willing to fight for their country, but they're going to build a European Union army. With what? So the word is getting out there, and the realization, the gravy train's over. The days of picking our pockets are over. Even though the average American is not in tune enough, I was going to say sophisticated enough, but it's not that. They're not tuned in to the right wavelength. They're on a lot of them are still on the CNN, MSNBC, CBS, old news wavelength. That's what they're tuned into. And they're not communicating what Trump has been saying. These European leaders are listening to Trump's every word. And he is saying that the tariffs are going to replace the direct income tax, which was dumped on our heads after the meeting at Jekyll Island in 1913. And all that did was bring our legal system, our treatment of civilians back to the old serf, lord and serf system of principalities that have been running the show for over 1,000 years. We're going to get rid of that. We were the first country where we were not serfs. All men, women, and men are created equal. Right? So they see that coming, but Americans are just getting it. And this address went such a long way. It went such a long way. And Trump's aplomb and good humor and leadership, oozing authority and leadership and confidence. A recitation of undeniable success, things we would have never thought could happen within a month or 5 weeks, and juxtapose that with the childish behavior of these people sitting right here. I put it on my thumbnail. These people right here. That's what he said. I could cure the worst disease in the world that would kill millions. I could find a cure. I could create the best economy ever known to man. I could get the lowest crime rates in human history. And these people would not stand, clap, celebrate, smile, nothing. He said, who would do that to their country? Talking about open borders, talking about this flood of money going out unchecked, unaccounted for, weakening the country, stealing from their neighbors. Who would do that to their country? And then within, 10 beats, he said, we're going to run out the radical lunatic left. And he's pointed right at him. So I really thought it was great. I'll watch it again or listen to it again while I'm outside doing some work. It's, there's little things in there that people pay attention. They'll see which way we're going. And Justin Trudeau, when he gave his speech, gold will end Fed, right? When he gave his speech, he was saying that he's talking about fentanyl. Donald is talking about fentanyl because that's the only legal way he can put the tariffs on us. Remember 11.4 treaties. So he's got a point. He said we only let 1 ounce get through. And somebody put in the chats in the broadcast I was listening to, 1 ounce of fentanyl could end the lives of 7,000 people. Trace amounts of that stuff have made people go into seizures. Oh, is that right? Television shows. Hi, Roland. Yeah, I was just talking about you, Roland. We got to do a reverse Al Capone, and we got to smuggle Tennessee and Kentucky whiskey up to Canada. But then I was thinking, oh my gosh, what way did they do that back in the day? The Finger Lakes. Remember Hunter's tattoo on his back? Oh my gosh. We have to find some other way besides the Finger Lakes. Maybe we can get some old biplane or something like that and run it up there where Gary's at in Alaska and then bring it down from the north. Oh, you got big winds in Alamo, Georgia. Yeah. Oh, we can't do that, Roland. That's human trafficking. I had the whiskey and tree logs. Yeah. Well, I figure we do like Newman and what's his name on Seinfeld. We get somebody that's got a mail truck, works for the mail company. We just fill up a big mail truck full of whiskey. Hi, Tammy. Nice to see you. Toby said Putin now owns MAGA. He wants to welcome them to his new Putin Soviet Socialist Republic, but reminds them they need to bring their own toilet paper. Well, I'll be darned. Nice to meet you, Toby. Well, we got 2 new ones. Who's this new guy? Long Duck. I don't allow names like that on my chats. You have to find something that's not so uh, not so. I do my broadcasts, and I want somebody's 12-year-old niece 50 years from now to be able to listen, or 10 years from now, or next year, or tonight, to be able to look at my broadcasts. And I like to be family friendly. So, and your question is, have you seen Trump's new post on Truth? He threatens Hamas to war. No, he just said there, you let the hostages go, or you're going to be obliterated. That's the way it should be. That's the way Reagan did it. Put a stop to all those hostages. Hi, Tank, how you doing? So find a name that is not so provocative and more of a name for adults who really don't care what they read or see. Just change your name and come back on and let me know who you are. And who's this other guy? Toby. Putin owns MAGA. Well, ain't that something? Yeah, maybe he does. That's okay. I appreciate it. I appreciate it, Long. I appreciate it. Just let me know who you are when you get back. So I don't know and we're nice to people when they come on, even when they say something. I don't know what Toby's getting at, but how Putin owns anything. But like Trump says, you got to talk to both sides. You got to talk to people, because he said it as diplomatically as you can to intelligent people that they're putting him in a position where he's only got one choice, which is to curse Putin and call him names, which would preclude being able to talk to Putin, which means a continuation of war, which will undoubtedly end up as World War III. So, Toby, if you're still out there, how can you deny that? How can you deny that? Should Trump call him horrible names, Putin? And the Russian people, don't forget, there's a country and people with children and living their lives like most people around the world. It's not just the leadership. You missed my beginning when I said there's a difference between the leadership and the people, the government and the people. So how does that equate to Putin loving? He disappeared. That's all right. Well, it's good, though, because you hear the talking points of people who don't agree with you, and you can say, Zelensky said very harsh, undiplomatic things in the White House Oval Office about Putin, which would not be helpful for peace. Trump tried to smooth it over and said, look, I can't call him up. I can't be nasty to him and then call him up and say, hey, how about that peace deal? So, the left wants to be like they were last night, hostile, childish, insulting, and expect to get their way. Just like the way Zelensky was acting. Thank you, television shows. Like and subscribe. Yeah, think about it. Give me a thumbs up. That really helps the video to get around. Yeah, Debbie, that's right. They have no idea what's coming. But even some of these hardhead people that really want to just pick on Trump and continue the narrative are going to start to see that he's going to help everybody with this restoration of how our government used to run prior to 1913. Yeah, yeah, and the possible family ties with the pre-Bolshevik Russia, namely the czars. Now they say Trump, uh, his origins are Scottish. A lot of people have said that he was related to what's the Mel Gibson did the movie where he got drawn and quartered at the end. Melvita's is ready for arrest and tribunals. Well, that will come. That will come, and I think it's going to be for the unforgivable acts. William Wallace, thank you, Roland, that he's related to William Wallace, Braveheart. Yeah. Hi, Robin. Nice to see you. Yeah. So wouldn't that be an odd alliance there? But the czars were related to all the royal families were related. Blue bloods, what they were called. So they used to call it the intolerable acts, or that's what the colonists called a lot of the things that was happening from King George, the intolerable acts. What I think the tribunals and things of that nature, an actual rope, a long drop with a short rope, that's going to be from the unforgivable acts, not intolerable acts, unforgivable acts. Theft of money, corruption, things like that have been all through history, and people will be doing prison time for that, probably the rest of their lives, given their advanced ages. But the unforgivable acts, like what happened with our economy with the JAB, right? What happened to people that were getting batches that they knew were not good for you? Who was behind putting people in nursing homes that were ill, that made everybody else sick, the vulnerable people? Things like that, unforgivable acts. Did you really? Oh, Roland said, when did that happen, Roland? Because Charles the First, I'm not carrying water for the royal family, far be it from me. But I said that a couple of years ago that Trump had already straightened things out with the royal family as far as how things were going to go. And since Queen Elizabeth's passing, just before she passed, she threw Prince Philip out, right? When the stuff came out about Epsteinio, she threw him out of the royal family. And then she had Harry and Meghan put an egg in their shoe and beat it. And I think she gave Charles his marching orders, because Charles, just before Starmer came to the U.S. to meet with Trump, Charles called for an election. Right when Starmer is weak and Farage is strong. If Charles didn't call for that election, Starmer wouldn't have any worries, but now he's got worries. And if Nigel Farage gets it, he's the guy that got Brexit rolling, right? Brexit. So Charles is playing ball. And it doesn't surprise me. I'm happy to hear, like Roland said, Charlie kicked Trudeau out of the palace yesterday. And many of you may have seen the video where Trudeau gives his oath to the crown. How many of you saw the video where Trudeau gave his oath to the crown for Canada? They're part of the crown. And people in chat say, Canada's our friend. Canada's our neighbor. Well, the people of Canada are our friends and neighbors, yes. But the government of Canada is under the crown. I saw something. Wait a minute, just looking through. Oh, the Roths and Rockefellers, Jerry, a lot of them will probably get corked off on the side. Oh, Wolvi Raza, you're welcome to be in the conversation, but you can't use that word Nazi. That's not me. That is UTISL rules. Okay. I'm surprised UTISL didn't take your comment down. Wolf Raza. And I want to tell you something. Is this the first time you ever listened to me? Because my mother came from Germany, and she was 8 years old when Hitler put one in the side of his head. And you're calling us filthy names. The word you're using, Nazi, is the German equivalent of National Socialist. The same beliefs as American socialists like Bernie Sanders. And for you to use filthy language, you're not welcome if you keep doing that, okay? So I'm taking your comments down. Hopefully you can engage in a better F you, Nazi. And you look like a angry cat lady. I hope you're not. Do you know what gender you are? You're quite welcome, Melvita. Hi, Wanda. Nice to see you. Yeah. Well, Wolvie, do you know anything else besides curse words? Can you have a conversation without being filthy mouthed? Just hurling childish insults. So I'm not a cat lady, but I have my say to you, Angela. And yes, you're happily married. But I don't think that one that we just had on the screen. No, Pappy, don't interfere. I appreciate your concerns, Pappy, but I delete the comments, and I don't have mods, and I don't want any. Just ignore them, and I'll have a conversation with them, and if I can't. If they keep it up, we just won't have a conversation. It's like talking to somebody that's. What did Hamilton say? I mean, not Hamilton, but James Madison said trying to speak the truth to a hostile person is like trying to give medicine to the dead. Trying to give medicine to the dead. And I'm trying to look at the picture. And I think it's a crazy cat lady, but I don't know. It might not be. Traitors to the country. My father fought for this country. My grandfather, my great grandfather, and my family fought for this country before it was even a country, and was on the right side, the winning side of the Civil War. From Korea all the way back to the Revolutionary War. So don't use any foul language. And you don't know my family's history or my history. I give very little information out about myself, but I can tell you that I write television shows. Does it bring a little sign? Are they wearing pink? Why are you so upset? And I'm gonna ask a serious question, Wolfraz. I mean, if you're home drinking or and you may not be. I'm just saying I don't know. All I know about you is the few comments you put on the screen, which were not, very, very nice. Let me have a cup of my coffee. I want to ask you a question in a second here, Wolf. I got to have a sip of my coffee. Boy, that's good. Thank you. Which country you from, Wolf Raza? And I'm asking you for the last time, don't put the NAZIS in. Don't do that. Misspell it. Use a 4 for an A. Which country are you in? And Miss Minister, let it roll. If it gets too rough, I'll take care of it. And don't give away anything personal. Just want to know what country you're from. And my question is, well, it was going to be, I thought you were here in the States. But it still would affect you because what's happening in this country is going to go around worldwide. Okay, I've said before, the American spirit is the greatest export we could offer. Your country is Trump, you say? I know we're on a delay, but it can't be that big of a delay. Oh, is that a guy? All I see is that little tiny picture. It's hard to see. The little round picture on the thumbnail. Which country are you from? That's right, television shows. They might be young. We're an older group. And Trump is returning the republic to what it used to be, where you don't have direct taxes on citizens, where you don't have bureaucrats coming around your house and pestering you, and you have to account for every nickel you make, which is called having commissars. We won't have commissars anymore. Let's see. Trump is going back to Putin and try to start World War III. And you're cursing again. I'm going to give you one more chance to use another curse word. I want to ask you this question, but you won't say what country you're from. And Zelensky is the one with Starmer and Macron pushing for World War III. Because Putin brought up something that he's warned about. Nobody pays attention to Putin, even though he warns that Poland is going to make a move on Western Ukraine. They've done it many times over the past 1,000 years. 1,000 years. You're 50, we're all idiots. Well, you said it's going to drag my country into. Where the hell do you think we're from, you dope? Now you're saying you're from America. You know, you have a mental problem. And you're 50 years old. You went to school in some commie setup. You don't know your ass from third base. Anybody who's going to get rid of the Fed, anybody who's going to get rid of the central banks, anybody who's going to get rid of the IRS and give the money directly back to the people, anyone who wants to stop a war that's causing thousands of deaths a week, you're against. You're just like those creatures that were sitting in Congress that wouldn't even be decent and dignified to a 13-year-old child that survived brain cancer, that want to let this country be thrown to the wolves with illegal aliens. And they print money to pay for these illegal aliens. Yeah, 50 going on 3. So are you for illegal aliens? Are you for transgendering children? Are you for preserving the IRS? Are you for taking everyone's right to own guns away? Because that's all you're babbling about. You down with the transgenderism? You down with communist fiscal policy? You're down with millions of people over 120 years old supposedly getting checks? You couldn't carry Trump's briefcase. Trump's the only one talking about stopping the war. Only one. Everybody's pushing for the war to go on because there's a lot of money in war. A lot of money in war. Bernie Sanders gave his response to Trump. And he said Trump's going to cut Social Security. Trump's going to cut Medicaid. Trump's going to cut Medicare. And I haven't heard one word of him talking about a healthcare system. Well, Bernie, you all took it over under Obama, and it went to pure SH, and that's it. The healthcare system we have right now is your creature, Bernie. The only thing Trump got rid of was $100 mandate for people that couldn't afford to buy insurance. Made debt slaves out of them when they're living out of their car. If they have a car, they just put $100 debt on them every year. And Trump discovers through this Doge, which is an office that already existed, was already approved by law, and found trillions of dollars of waste, fraud, and abuse. So we're not calculating that in future budgets. Why would you calculate waste, fraud, and abuse in future budgets if you stop the waste, fraud, and abuse? But Bernie Sanders says that's cutting the budget. We cut the waste, fraud, and abuse, you old commie rat. So what is it you're against that Trump is doing? He's trying to stop war. He's trying to stop waste, fraud, and abuse. He's trying to stop what I have always termed as psychological abuse. That's another term he used. Did you all catch it? He used that during his speech, that transitioning children was psychological abuse. And I've said that from the beginning. And I'll go farther to say it's talking to children about lewd and lascivious subjects, and the people that engage in that belong in jail. Hi, Bambi. Nice to see you. Jess and Bean, nice to see you. Yeah, well, I mean, we're here to reach. What Trump is doing is reaching out. Steady waters. Nice to see you. Now, when we get people in the chats that we have a different view, because we knew that there were people going to be freaking out. We knew that people were going to be upset, right, guys? And what were we told? What were we told? We were told that we're here to help explain to others, comfort our friends and loved ones that get scared and don't know what's going on. Even though somebody like Wolf or whatever their name is not a friend of ours, we just met them, we still want to try to explain to them what's going on. That's what our job is. So if somebody comes in and is animated, hostile, foul-mouthed, and attacking and stuff, I want them to know that, no, that's not what we're here for. It's not what I'm here for. All right? Because we're all Americans, and we will be living a better life. You know how sick you get to your stomach every time April 15th rolls around and you haven't got your taxes done? Americans never used to live under that kind of fear. It just so happens they put it on the same day Abraham Lincoln died, after he got assassinated. And we never had to do that for 130 years. Never had to have that kind of a menace hanging over your household. You could go out and do your own thing. You didn't have little local commissars and code enforcement. What are you doing with a backyard chicken? You can't have your own eggs. You can't put water in a rain barrel for your garden. You can't. What are you doing with a garden? Your tomato plants are higher than the county or town ordinance about grass in your yard. You got to knock down your tomato plants. I've seen that stuff happen. Abuse, when people get a little bit of power. Melvita, are Democrats even Americans? Well, yeah, it'll be 4 to 6%. I think it's going to be higher than that, Angel. I think it's going to be about 8%. And I don't see any more from. That's why I don't want. Where did our friend go earlier? I asked him to change his name and come back. I haven't. Maybe I didn't catch it. So anyway, so that was a good little go around, right, folks? Because we don't want to be in an echo chamber. We don't want to just do a constant drum beat, a head nodding and agreement. I mean, we have to exercise our gray matter as to what is going on, because so many people have been exposed to, like I said, this trillion dollar psyop from Marxist entities abroad. Like the video they put out of this, all the senators saying the same thing in response to something Trump said. It was like 22 senators put out the same video simultaneously. They were all given the same talking points. Yeah, that's right, Angela. Yeah, that's the percent that should be in a mental facility if they can't come around. I mean, if they're just going to be hostile. And yeah, the Mockingbird media, yeah. So anyway, we'll get back to what we were jazzing about. These people right here, and I got a list. I'll put it up on my next picture show of the 45 nays to keeping men out of women's sports. So where did Wolf go? I want to ask about that, keeping men out of women's sports. But they're gone, I guess, or maybe went to the bathroom or something, and they'll come back either all upset or maybe curious about a few things. But anyway, who the hell wants men in women's locker rooms and women's sports? Well, I got the list of 45 Democrats that voted against barring that kind of activity. That's great for the American people to see. Who needs to go? Who needs to go? And let me see. I'm trying to see if we got anybody from that's in the chats. We got anybody? Illinois was Dick Durbin and Duckworth from Illinois. I'm trying to see if we got a state that I could pull. Let's see. I know we got somebody from Texas. I don't think we had. Well, that what's his name with the pimp cane was from Texas, but he's a House representative. These are senators. Bernie Sanders wants to keep men and women's sports from Vermont. Kane in Virginia, Kelly in Arizona, Hickenlooper in Colorado. All those now. I'm gonna keep that in my phone. I'm not gonna erase that. I want to see what happens to them. There's got to be something wrong with your brain, or you are being bribed or threatened to sit there as a sitting U.S. senator and vote against keeping men out of women's sports. That's what I want to know. Who voted for Green in Texas? He probably has a district that looks like a piece of spaghetti, the way they get gerrymandered. Make mental hospitals great again. Yeah. Yeah, well, he went bathroom in his pants, make straitjackets great again. Make mental institutions great again. Hi, Jackie. How you doing? Green's from Houston. Well, he need to vote his. Well, so many people are the dependent class. Well, Trump used the magic term last night. He said, we're draining the swamp. And then the way he would look over straight at him with a little smile when he'd say stuff like that, draining the swamp. And they'd had to sit there and take it. How many of them got up and left? Somebody said it was 24. Got up and left. Most big cities are really liberal, Miss Mindersue. Yeah, that's right. Television shows a cultural shift. That's what I put in my thumbnail. It's a huge shift, and people like the one we just had in the chats. I'm not going to try and embarrass anybody or pick on anybody because they're not the only ones that still think that way. It's just been drilled in their heads about Putin. And that was originated with Hillary's Steele dossier and the CIA trying to keep Trump out because they knew exactly what he was going to do. He was going to find out all the graft and corruption. And that's what they're doing and cutting it off. This, what was the name? Amir, this Judge Amir. Well, people are really upset at Amy Coney Barrett because she sided with Roberts. I do not know a time when she voted against John Roberts to allow his order to stand about the $2 billion. $2 billion. But now, wait a minute. It's not as bad as it looks. It's only for completed work. So it's not the whole $2 billion. And it wasn't, they don't have to cut a check right now. It was sent back by the Supreme Court to Emir, who was from Ontario and only a judge for about 4 months, appointed by Biden, where he has got to be precise about who's supposed to get money. And it's only if the work has been completed. So no checks have to be written. No checks have to be written. But I've said that keep an eye on terms that you hear in contract law. Because Alito pointed out that there's a court for contract disputes, federal government contract disputes. And in just about every contract I've ever seen, it says that disputes will be handled by a court of competent jurisdiction. If you ever see your old contract you signed for your house you bought or something like that, you will see dollars to donuts. You'll see that phrase in there. By a court of competent jurisdiction. And this character, it's like you don't have Bernie Madoff's fraud case being heard in juvenile and domestic relations court. You get what I'm saying? But then again, I don't know if there's a method to this madness or not, because it's just like Trump said, and he said the name. Listen to me, folks, because this is important. He said the name BlackRock. He said, I want BlackRock to take control of the ports. Did you all catch that? A lot of people in the conspiracy theory realm was saying, oh no, Trump is with BlackRock. Oh no, Amy Coney Barrett kicked it back to what's his face over the $2 billion. Well, guess what? With the $2 billion in aid that she kicked back, if they demand their money, they get an automatic investigation of the books. Instead of just cutting the money off and closing shop. In order to have an investigation, you have to have probable cause. You have to have a binding reason. I'm sure the contracts stipulate specific performance and that you comply with all laws. And that the government has the right of due diligence to make sure the company is not breaking any laws. So BlackRock, switching gears, gets involved with the ports in the Panama Canal. That's the key to their books on demand. On demand. Instead of asking for a warrant, asking for a subpoena, and corrupt judges saying, oh, there's not enough evidence, there's not enough probable cause. You sign a contract with the government to do something, you got to open your books. Does that make sense to you all, guys? So don't always look at things from the surface. From the surface. You get in a government contract, you better have a clean business. It depends on what they do, Pappy. Depends on what they do. But I found it interesting that Trump brought the name of that company specifically to take control of the ports in Panama Canal. Because the Panama Canal situation is going to fall under Trump's powers as far as national security and emergency powers. And if they take control of those ports under a state of emergency, as I've said before, the president can compel companies like GM to make respirators, 3M to make masks. They have the power to conscript that business and compel them to manufacture what the country needs. Drop your cars, start making respirators. BlackRock is involved in Disney, involved in this and that don't really have a function that he could compel actions for the national interest. Running the ports, he can compel them. And also have access to their books, not automatic, but by showing cause. Which is a lot easier than just saying, hey, we think you're screwing around with through Disney, through ABC, through whatever else businesses you own, this ethereal accusations and whatever. This brings them right into areas that are essential to national security, and it would be under his purview. I tend to agree, Gary. I tend to agree that they've all been corralled. But this whole show that we're watching, the Zelensky show, okay, the show they put on last night with their little signs and their sullen faces, it's all to wake up the populace. And it's going to give the nation a lesson in legal procedure, laws of the United States, treaties of the United States. And we just cannot have a BlackRock or any other company have their books rated for reasons that are not obvious, like they tried to do with Trump. They tried to charge him with stuff they just plucked from the air. They just pluck stuff from the air through accusations, finger pointing, slander, rumors. No, they have got to have stuff that they can lawfully collect and present. And that's what this whole 10-year drama has been about. I think that there was a plan A that in their better judgment, it was better go with plan B, the long haul. Because can you imagine if Trump won in 2020, right? We know he did. But I mean, if he formally won and took office and started doing what he's doing now, we would have so many of our friends and neighbors losing their minds. They would be trying to impeach Trump. They would be claiming the things this person earlier in the chats was saying, that he was a Hitler and he was a Nazi and starting World War III and all this kind of stuff. We had to go through what the Biden administration put us through. Otherwise, we wouldn't have all the people wise to what's going down and welcoming to it. And it's just going to grow. People are going to get more and more. And I'm telling you, when those first checks go out, they know if Trump sends checks out for recompense for Doge, this is the first payment for the money that was recaptured from waste, fraud, and abuse. We're reimbursing America. This is your first reimbursement check. Once that happens, first one, yeah, we got a lot more to do. And we're doing tariff checks to the American people. We're going to do natural resource checks. Okay, we've talked about it, all the areas that Trump's saving money and making money. Your gold card dividend, all these millionaires who are going to pay $5 billion for a gold card. People are going to go ape. Because look how quickly the Marxists, through Johnson, after they assassinated Kennedy, look how quickly they solidified their base in the Democrat Party through welfare checks. Back then in 64 or 5, when the Great Society started, they were about $200 a month, a couple $100. And they had Democrat voters for generations. Just imagine. They know when those first checks go out, they're finished. Because Trump is not stealing from one citizen to give money to another citizen. Trump is getting income from this country, from the principalities who are supposed to be paying to play in our sandbox. And they used to pay to play in our sandbox in the 1890s on up to 1905 or 1910. And we had more money we know what to do with. So he's giving Americans checks, but not taking anything from other Americans. That reduces class warfare, which Marxists have to have that to survive. They have to have scapegoats, racial division, and class warfare. That's the recipe for their hellish soup that they put in your slop bowl. The $5 billion they're not green cards. They're gold cards, Ms. Vindersuit. And how they work, they'll have green cards. As I said before, I did business with a guy from the UK who needed to have a $500,000 investment. And he wanted to get with me on a property I had. We couldn't work out a deal because, as he said, I wanted my cake and I wanted to eat it too. And I said, well, what's the point of having cake if you can't eat it? But anyway, he needed a $500,000 investment at the time to maintain a green card, which gave him a lawful residency rather than a tourist visa. And Now I believe it's up to, it might be $1 million now of investment in the country. Well, Trump, I think it might be 800,000. That's a green card or a type of green card. There's different types of green cards, working visas and things of that nature. So Trump is moved into a gold card, where you have a $5 million investment in the country. You put $5 million in here, you get a gold card. And he's thinking of selling millions of gold cards and could bring us $1 trillion. And people go, wow, that's too much. No, it's not. Joe Biden let in, what, 8 million a year for nothing that we had to feed, clothe, house, and didn't give us a damn dirty dime for 4 years straight. Look at George Soros. You think he's a red-blooded American? Hi, Cosette. He didn't give us a damn dime. And what's he done but peel us like an orange? And was the architect of these NGOs and built a criminal empire, corrupt entities taking advantage of grant systems and nonprofit organizations to use our own money in the government to fund propaganda to tear down the government, to attack Trump and try to put him in prison. So yeah, it'd be great if we had people put $500,000 in, because who wants to be a millionaire to come here and get a gold card with a path to citizenship and a permanent residency in the country, and then work to let the system that keeps them safe be destroyed? Nobody. They're going to come here because we have a system that protects them, protects their wealth, their legacy, their family, their future. People like Georgie Porgy Sorosio wants to destroy that and wants to institute government that suppresses the people. There is no way to institute socialism, which is the same suit, different bow tie than communism, the same smell, different Johnny house as communism. There's no way to institute that without subjugating your citizens. The Constitution is the exact opposite. It subjugates the government to the citizens, not the other way around. We'll see a new currency. Mr. T's image wouldn't be on there till after, unfortunately, his passing, but that is a good rule to have. Caesar used to put his face on his coin. They can date Roman coins by whose face is on there, the name of the emperor, because that's when the emperor was alive. They put his face on the money. We don't do that. Well, it's a lot of money, television shows, and we'll be getting it. It's not going to be hoarded. It's not going to be, hi, Lori, it's not going to be shoveled off to a foreign country. Who's putting the money on? The person that wants to come to the country, Ms. Vindersu. That's who's putting the money on there. You're attracting successful business people, wealthy people And people who are poor or seeking to be citizens that respect our Constitution, they can still get in on work visas. They'll still have green cards where if they make a smaller commitment and investment, they could still be citizens. But the gold card would be a stronger version. It's like Trump said, if you want a press conference with me to announce you're investing in the U.S., it's got to be at least $1 billion. I might up it to 10 billion if you want me to stand next to you at a microphone. $1 million doesn't get it. Because Trump's worth it. And next thing you know, you got this investor putting 500 million in. You got this investor putting 200 billion in. No, we don't give them money. No, Mr. Minister, they got to give us money. And then we will be getting a dividend from that. And, the used to be's would be that if you came to this country, you had to have a sponsor. You have to show that you were ready, willing, and able to work. You had to learn English. You had to learn American history and pass a basic test about American history, which our previous commentator who apparently left didn't even know the basics of American history. For you to earn your citizenship, you had to be productive. You go to Canada and say, yeah, I want to come in. I'm broke. I'm disabled. I don't get around good. And I got a tumor the size of a softball in my stomach. But I'm just coming as a visitor. They won't even let you in because they know you're going to be a burden on their system. But here in America, they were letting everybody in with communicable diseases, elderly and infirm, drug addicts, and of course, we know criminals and people from insane asylums by the thousands and thousands. Yeah, that one knew how to speak English, but it was all foul words and insults. Huh. So anyway, yeah, it was a good speech. It was landmark. It was truly landmark. And how are the Democrats going to repair their image? They damaged themselves. Now, my question is, did they do it on purpose? Like some of our friends in the chats have been implying that a lot of stuff has already been put to bed with these big companies, with a lot of these corrupted politicians. We all notice that some of them don't look like themselves. Looks like somebody's stand-in, just like Joe. Were they? Are they that out of touch to behave the way as obnoxious as they behaved last night? Or were they told to do that? That's my question. I think in some cases it was. They were their own friends. Trump got nominated for the Nobel Peace Prize by Representative Darrell Issa. I don't know. We'll see how far that goes. And our our friend that was in the chats earlier missed that. If they would have hung around, they would have learned that. Obama got the Nobel Peace Prize. He didn't do squat. I'll have to read the Webster's definition of squat to you all, because that's what we owe Canada. We owe Canada what Obama got done as president. Squat. Not that I want to harm anybody in Canada, but we don't owe them squat. So they're turning around feeding on themselves. Somebody in Massachusetts went up and caught on fire a Tesla charging station. I'm looking at a picture of it. They've got all these charging stations roped off and black smoke pour. They're talking about climate change and pollution and greenhouse gases. Yeah, electric car. You know, the holier than thou mask wearing do-gooder riding around in a Prius. Well, now the big thing is going around and setting fire to Tesla charging stations. And like I pointed out, like if a tank in Ukraine blew up or whatever, it puts the houses burning in California. One house puts out more soot, crap, and toxins than you would have if you ran a million 1955 Chevys for 100 years. You couldn't put out that kind of smudge and stank. But, they act on emotion. They can't come up with anything better than what we were looking at earlier in the conversation. A bunch of filthy mouthed, irrational, emotional prattle. So let's go burn a charging station down. Oh, you guys are brain surgeons. Just brain surgeons. And Citizen Free Press put out there was a basketball game in Massachusetts, I guess, over the weekend. And there's a video of some big guy injured 3 females in girls' basketball game in Massachusetts. They called the game off early due to injuries. And the night before, you had 40-some senators vote against keeping that from happening. So that brings me to class action lawsuits. Laws of the United States, 11.4, tort law. I hope these girls get to sue these do-gooder groups that push for this kind of stuff and sue their eyeballs right out of their heads. And they lose their funding, like Mr. T said. Did you hear where Trump said that he was going to deport people on student visas that were breaking the law with these Palestinian protests, and that he would jail citizens who break the law with these protests on campuses, and that campuses allow them, they'll lose their federal funding. And he put in for good measure, no masks. Okay, this mask crap, which is just an excuse for mayhem and law breaking that they use the illness as a cover for, those days are over. Just like he said with woke stuff, the woke crap is over. So they had this staff member at Harvard University ripping down posters of these 2 brothers. Their last name is Bibas, Bibas, Kafir and Ariel. Oh, I guess it was a girl. They were kidnapped and executed by Hamas in Gaza. And somebody put up their pictures as a memorial, and he has a video of a Harvard staff member ripping down their pictures, their memorial pictures. So let's hope he gets fired. And anybody near San Antonio? Anybody near San Antonio, Texas? Because there's a local station down there named San Antonio NBC affiliate is investigating an $18 million a month contract that got ended by Doge. They had some nonprofit do-gooders supposedly doing good, for $18 million a month. They went by the building they were working in, investigating, and they found an empty facility. There was nobody. It was just a front building, and they were getting $18 million a month. And they dug through their state records for the whatever you call it, the nonprofit, and they reported revenue in 2022 of $1.1 billion for empty shell building, a criminal enterprise, money laundering, and that's just one of thousands they've got with different levels of graft and theft. So, yeah, people start to see that. Oh, and Justin Trudeau, in that little speech he called Donald, saying he did a dumb thing. He said, we're going to choose not to go on vacation in Florida. We're going to forego bourbon. We're probably going to keep booing the American anthem. Boy, that's nice. That really really mend fences, Justin. But you better believe people like Justin, if they ain't in Florida, they'll be somewhere else where it's warm in the winter. It's the average person in Canada that's going to suffer, not like the elites. Dan Scavino put up a post, get your popcorn, before Mr. T went live. Ha ha ha, get your popcorn. Oh, and I heard that George Stephanopoulos got kicked out of the State of the Union. And I haven't heard anybody report about it except Jack Posobiec. But apparently, Mason and Trump didn't want him around. He's the one that lost that lawsuit and had to pay $2 million from Slopadopoulos, $1 million from ABC for legal fees, and then another $15 million, $17 million total for slandering Trump. So no, you can't come into the address to Congress, you little creep. And while the speech was going on, Dan Scavino was posting in all caps, And the first one he posted was, "These losers, Dems, tried to put me in prison. They're so weak, ineffective, and pathetic. The golden age of America is back. Let's go." And then he put it out. "We knew it was coming. You Dems are pathetic, total losers, MAGA." And then he posted, "Democrats hate America." Oh, the way they're behaving, how they going to fix that? How are they going to fix that? And they said the best line, which I'll say one of the best lines Trump had was, "The media and our friends in the Democrat Party kept saying, we need new legislation. We must have legislation to secure the border." But it turned out all we needed was a new president. Yeah, when they say new legislation, that's code word for more money. We want more money. This is kind of, sometimes I read this clandestine's take on things because he gets it. I 90%, 80 to 90% agree with him. So what he got out of this, my biggest takeaway from Trump's address is that the Democrats are completely broken. The optics could not have been worse. The Dems have been relegated to holding signs in the corner and pouting while Trump cleans the mess up they created. They refuse to clap, even for the American citizens that Trump honored. They couldn't stand and clap for steelworkers, farmers, the mothers of children who had been red-rummed, or the young man with brain cancer, etc. But they were willing to clap for sending hundreds of billions of dollars to Ukraine. That's right on the money. They showed that they are willing to put politics before the American people. This is apparent with their policies, but tonight we saw it play out in real time. It also didn't help that the Dems, that Trump called them all human traffickers to their faces in front of the entire nation, which is wild. I'm curious to see if the mainstream media addresses that or just ignores it. I guess we'll see. Well, so far they've been ignoring it. He not only called them human traffickers, he called them Marxist lunatics and pointed right at them. It also didn't help. Oh, wait a minute. Trump and the Republicans appeared to be competent, sane, goal-oriented, professional, and pro-American, while the Dems were incompetent, irrational, directionless, and petulant, and anti-American. Tonight, the Dems proved to the entire world that they are an unserious group of people who are unfit to rule. We can never let them hold power again. So I agree with that quite a bit. I think it puts it in a nice little nutshell. Somebody posted something about Netanyahu was given a speech. I don't know if you all heard about this or not, but he was given a speech and he talked about the Epsteinio, Jeffrey Epsteinio list. Netanyahu did. And he said, quote, "For some reason, Ehud Barak is repeatedly invited to the studios, and strangely, he is not asked a single question on the subject." And what he's talking about with the studios is CBS and other news studios, I guess. And he's not ever asked anything about Epstein. Because, and he goes on to say, because the media channels are not news channels. They are fake channels. They lie to the public in collaboration with the deep state. Unquote. So Ehud Barak apparently has something to do with abstenio. And then they didn't even clap for what I'm getting ready to tell you. Kash Patel put out an X, and Trump announced it. Breaking. As President Trump just announced, I can report tonight the FBI, DOJ, and the CIA have extradited one of the terrorists responsible for the murder of 13 American soldiers at Abbey Gate during the disastrous Afghanistan withdrawal. One step closer to justice for these American heroes and their families. They didn't even clap for that. But I'll tell you something else Trump said. He said he's en route to America now to face the swift sword of justice. The swift sword of justice. I have to go over those methods that Bill Barr reinstituted as far as the federal death penalty. I know gas chambers were brought back in. The electric chair was brought back in. Firing squads were brought back in. Using a rope was brought back in. But a swift sword. And he put up again, Kash Patel. Thank you to our incredible partners and the FBI personnel who made this happen. You represented your country brilliantly. So he's rehabilitating the institution of the FBI. You know, and they're so guttural. They're so guttural. This kid DJ, who was made an honorary Secret Service agent and had brain cancer when he was 5, and he's made it to 13. Nicole Wallace on where's she on? She's on MSNBC. She said, well, I hope he lives a long life and he doesn't end up, how did she word it? Defending the Capitol from Trump insurrectionists and end up like the 6 agents that committed you-know-what-aside because of it. What a disgusting thing to say. And we're going to find out about that. We're going to find out. You know that those, first of all, they tried to say that that loss of life occurred during the event. Now they have to admit that it was after the event and by their own hand. And reasonable people are going to say, 6 people taking their own lives? Something's wrong. How did Hillary get rid of people that didn't agree with her? And then Trump coming out at Pocahontas. Ha, 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 ha. That was funny when he was talking about ending the war. And he said, well, Pocahontas wants us to keep going. Pocahontas says yes to another 5 years. That was probably the worst optics for a person of the night. Was Pocahontas sitting there trying to keep her face all together and clapping. Yeah, clapping after Trump said, you want to go on for another 5 years? Is that what you want? And then that goofy, what's her name? Her name, I didn't know her name. Now I know it. Melanie Stansbury was standing there with a sign before Trump gave a speech saying, this is not normal. like she knows what normal is. And who was it? Snatched a sign, threw it away. Republican Lance Gooden. Anyway, she got her little camera time, but she looks stupid. It's idiotic. And some bad news. Anybody from Washington State? Washington State. There was a young person that a illegal new neighbor took a KNIFE to, and he didn't make it. A high school student lost their life. Which one? Which one was one of the congressmen? They had hearings today about sanctuary cities. Speaking of that, I mean, here you had somebody lose their life. A high school kid in Washington. You're from Washington, Miss Minda Sue? Well, that's what Citizen Free Press reported today, that a high school student lost their life. But the Chicago mayor, Brandon Johnson, refuses to commit to turning over criminal illegal alienos to ICE. So I'm trying to see here which representative told the mayors that showed up for this hearing that there were going to be criminal referrals against these mayors for obstruction of ICE officials, obstruction of justice, obstructing federal law enforcement agents. All right, Tracy's here. Where are you from, Tracy? What state? I think might have been Chip Roy. Ha 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 ha. Okay, here's some news for our friends in Canada. Our friends in Canada, Higgins, that's right. Television shows, yeah, he's putting criminal referrals out. But where did it go? Wait a minute. Oh, Alberta, Canada. A lawyer named Jeffrey Rath wants to make his province a U.S. state. Quote, we're being governed by idiots in Ottawa. There's a number of us in Alberta that have had enough. So I don't know if Roland's still out there, but an Alberta lawyer named Jeffrey Rath is supposedly going to try to make some kind of move to help with an annexation. Oh, you're from Washington. Okay, Tracy, yeah, that's what happened in your territory. But it's happening all over the country. I mean, these are the news reports that we pick up. Like we hear that an SUV plowed through a crowd. They don't say who was behind the wheel. They blame it all on the SUV, right? So Diamond Silk reporting that, oh snap, Doge terminates the lease at Obama Presidential Library site. So, like I've said many times before, how many years is it taking them to put up this goofy library? Usually it's done within 6 months to a year after a president leaves office. How long has this been going on? And it's a three-ring circus. It's nowhere near completion. But I'm sure they're using federal funds, right? So the longer they keep it going, the more they can milk the taxpayer. But they're suing each other right and left. But now, DOGE, Department of Government Efficiency, terminated the lease for a facility that housed records for the Obama Presidential Library site. They've been paying probably some ungodly monthly amount for what, going on a decade for Obama's records? Well, they're going to have to get it out of somebody else because their lease is terminated. Now, who this person is? Latifah Simon. Latifah Simon. I'm learning about all these representatives I've never heard of, and senators, like I've never heard of Chris Murphy. But Latifah Simon said that ejecting Al Green for repeatedly interrupting President Trump's speech was racist. They should have let him stand there and scream and yell and point his pimp cane with his greasy hair. What the hell are these people thinking about? Okay. Yeah, and then he brought up Greenland too. With so many things. I've already gone an hour and almost 2 hours. Let's see. Somebody else was from Canada. I mean, from Washington State. Sue. Hi, Sue. How you doing? We're from Washington. So anyway, he brought up Greenland. And of course, the president of Greenland, or Premier Greenland, I can't say his name, Olaf Ufa, said, we're not going to America. Well, yeah, it looks like it's going to be that way. Along with Canada. And then Trump, something he put out recent, was to Mayor Marion Bowser. We have notified the mayor of Washington, D.C. that she must clean up all the unsightly homeless encampments in the city, specifically including the ones outside the State Department and near the White House. If she is not capable of doing so, we will be forced to do it for her. Washington, D.C. must be clean and safe. We want to be proud of our great capital again. Thank you, Mayor Bowser, for your efforts on behalf of the citizens of our country. Hopefully, you will be successful. Donald J. Trump, President of the United States of America. Well, that's a heck of a way to end the truth. Sounds to me like a formal notice. You better get D.C. cleaned up. Because he did say he was going to federalize D.C. You think she'll be able to do it? Do you think Trump is going to get control of that? I think he already has it. Whoa. Yeah, Albertans are tired of supporting Quebec. Yeah, I bet that's true, Angel. I don't know where Roland went, but he would probably concur. All right, Gary's hitting the sack. All right, have a good evening, buddy. Thanks for joining us. Glad you're okay. He will take D.C. It is not a state. That's right. Yeah, well, he's given her a chance, and it was a formal notice signed by the President of the United States. Yeah, and then I went through these backwards. I'll finish up by pointing out that one thing that Trump said early in his speech. He said, "Won't you Democrats join us one time? Why don't you just join us on this one night?" You know, it was an appeal for unity. Can you all not act like idiots for one night? And they couldn't do it. And I think they damaged themselves to a point that it would take them decades to recover. I think we're going to see more Democrats leaving the party. More Democrats leaving the party. And, well, we didn't get to, well, at least we got a little bit of excitement with somebody trying to support the narrative that Trump is a dictator and going to start a war and So hopefully they heard a side that they hadn't heard before, and that they reflect. And other people that maybe, you never know who's listening, folks. You know, it's not just us in the chats. After we do the broadcast, under 500, sometimes 1,000 people will tune in. And maybe a couple of people might reconsider what they've been told by the mainstream media. Because a house divided cannot stand. So anyway, folks, I'll be going live again tomorrow night. And just a reminder, I have a buy me a coffee link in the description. Anybody wants to help the channel out? This is a totally viewer-supported channel, and I appreciate everybody that's helped. Wade helped out. Hilarious, too. Mike and Bev. My last broadcast. I do appreciate it. So, anyway, I should be going live tomorrow night. And let's see. Who knows what will happen? Zelensky sending mixed messages. He's going to sign the peace deal. I'm going to sign the rare earth. But wait a minute, didn't you sign something with England or UK? What the hell's going on there? Are you going to dress like you got some sense, or are you going to come show up in your Fidel Castro outfit? But anyway, folks, we'll see what happens. And I'll be going live tomorrow night. If you're not subscribed, please subscribe and hit the notification bell so you'll know when I go live. So y'all have a great night. Thank you for spending your precious time with me. You all have a great night. This is Mountain Man, over and out.